and he dedicated it to the service of his God and to the various rituals and rites and ceremonies of religion. Gradually we have come to secularize most of these branches of learning, but even today, of course, music is closely related to religion, and sacred music is among the greatest of our musical compositions. The next concept that we have is law. This law, which was originally the will of the gods for their creatures. Law embodied in the great person of Zeus, the arch deity, the cosmocrator, the father of gods and men. Zeus with his thunderbolts punishing the lawbreaker and opening the gates of the Empyrean gloriously and majestically to the lawkeeper. That the universe was an orderly thing, that the conduct of men must be orderly relationships, and that the individual who breaks the law of human integration must ultimately suffer. And law and punishment came down to us. And from the earliest days, men sought to understand those regulations and rules by which their common conduct was best expressed, and how they might live together in the most concord and with the greatest understanding, peace, and beauty of relationship. The symbol of law, of course, was Jupiter, and the Roman law was dedicated to him. The Pharos of Alexandria, or Solomon's Temple, represented to the ancients the concept of mathematics. Mathematics, the great power that lighted men, that brought all minds in from the sea of doubt and insecurity into the safe harbor of learning. Of all the ancients, Saturn, or Cronus, was the father of gods and the father of times. Cronus was the principle of number, of the ordered sequences of numerical speculation. And under Cronus was exactitude, the exact experience of mathematics, not merely the adding up of your grocery bill or the various daily uses that we make of number, but the great concept of a universal exactitude, that numbers are instruments of magic, and that by means of them men can unlock all the wonders of the world. And as Saturn was the most ancient of the gods, so mathematics was regarded as the most ancient and basic of all arts and sciences. For without mathematics, none of the others can exist. But mathematics can exist without them. Therefore, that which is independent is superior. That which is dependent is inferior. And as all exact learning is based upon mathematics, it is the father of sciences, even as Saturn or Cronus was the father of deities. Thus the parallel is reasonably appropriate. To the marvelous monument of Halicarnassus, the mausoleum, was assigned architecture, because the records that we have of it indicate that it was the most perfectly integrated and perhaps architecturally the supreme member of the group. Emphasis here being placed upon architecture rather than upon the total concept. Everything was sacrificed to absolute architectural perfection of design, and we can only wish that some of these wonderful things had survived so that we could see them. But that the mausoleum became the symbol of all architecture. Architecture as temple to God. Architecture as tomb to the honored dead. Architecture as symbol of statesmanship, of power, authority, and of the government of people. Architecture stepping in to house all the other instruments. Was also a reminder that architecture was a dynamic, making possible all bodies in which life may be incarnated, and that finally also these bodies, like temples and shrines, must be destroyed or must collapse or must disappear away, so that all bodies that become glorious monuments must ultimately also become tombs. The next of the great arts, represented by the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, were what we would call today the art concept itself, in this case involving sculpturing, painting, the dance, art forms as we know them, poetry, because this great monument to Venus was dedicated to beauty, and supreme among all other arts was the art of living. And all arts are intended for one purpose, namely to make living beautiful, to make it possible for the individual to live not only efficiently and rationally, but with a grace, with a certain overtone of beauty, by which life is enriched and by which all utilities are justified. Labor without idealism is without reward, and very few persons have ever achieved greatly unless there was beauty in them, by which their labors were dedicated to some end greater than the mere gratification of ambition. Where such inner beauty does not exist, ambition leads only to tyranny and despotism. And the last of these, the Great Pyramid, under Mercury, tells us, of course, of the art of medicine, of healing, and of the power of the gods to bring health to the bodies of men. Anciently, medicine was part of religion, and Hermes was the physician of souls. For medicine, not only to the ancients, was a remedy for the body, but the greatest of all medicine was wisdom, which was the medicine for the sickness of the soul. And if the soul was sick, the body could not be well. But if in the case of sickness, the soul could be restored, then there was greater probability that the body would recover. Already in ancient times, man had conceived the psychological relationship between right attitude, right knowledge, right thinking, and the state of the corporeal nature of man. Therefore, that the sound body must be inhabited for the sane mind. And Mercury, as taking away ignorance, took away the great sickness for which learning is the only remedy. Thus these concepts broaden the foundation of our indebtedness to ancient people and tell us something more of the expanding of our way of life. Now the thought came to me that it might be interesting to return for a moment to the level of architecture. We are rather proud today of the things we do, or perhaps not only just the things we do, but the things that have been done. We also remember that in the collecting of the original group of 7 wonders, man was comparatively unaware of that part of the world which was far from him, particularly the great structure of Asia. He had no knowledge that there were other worlds and other parts of this world far from his own abode. And in Asia and in other European and even in American architecture and structure, we have likewise wonders that are very important and interesting. So I collected a group, others could change it, but again this group carries through to the original pattern of wonders which we can visit today. A few cases we may have to wait for more auspicious political situations, but the monuments still stand and are available to us, and most of them we can visit. Strangely, we have more or less picked them out ourselves, and nearly every tourist guide, nearly every fragment of literature about foreign countries features these. Features them perhaps as ancient man instinctively selected the old wonders. And in arranging them, we find they make very much of a pattern, because they are not so different from the group that we originally had. We remember the Colossus of Rhodes, standing with torch raised at the entrance of the city of Rhodes. We can hardly miss the analogy to the Statue of Liberty, which also stands with torch raised facing the sea. just as in the case of ancient Rome, and is certainly to be included among the wonders of modern architecture. A monument to liberty, as the older one was a monument to life. And to us, liberty and life are very closely involved. The great sanctuary of the ancient world, the one where the peoples came from everywhere to pay tribute and to enrich the shrine of the great lunar deity, mother of mysteries, Diana, goddess of the Ephesians, the mother of life, the marvelous principle in which the ancients recognized the mother who was forever a virgin. And this was the temple of Diana. And it does not take a great deal of imagination to conceive its parallel in the greatest religious monument of the modern world, the Vatican at Rome. Dedicated also very largely to the Mother of Mysteries, dedicated to the World Virgin, and of course adorned and decorated as was the Temple of Diana with the wealth and treasures of countless peoples. The tremendous architectural achievement of the Vatican is undeniable, and the magnificent accumulation of treasure there is almost the same as we hear in the description of the great temple of Diana at Ephesus. Now, we are looking always for Zeus or Jupiter, as the ancients said, to bring us a great mass and weight. And at the very moment of its dedication, the planet Jupiter ruled one of the greatest structures of modern engineering, and that is the Empire State Building in New York, which was dedicated by the then Governor Alfred Smith at the very moment of the dignification of the planet Jupiter. It became the symbol almost of our whole way of life, for everything we do has to be bigger. It may not always be better, but it will be bigger. And this tremendous monument of modern industry, this tremendous symbol of modern architectural efficiency, the largest and highest of our achievements, the concept of the Empire State Building as a wonder of the modern world is not unreasonable. Then we think of the great temple of Saturn, the Pharos or lighthouse of Alexandria, and we remember the consternation caused in the last century by the tower that no one believed could be created, and which once created no one believed anyone would ever understand, and that is the Eiffel Tower in Paris. Still a symbol of man's early engineering skill and one of the most ambitious and incredible achievements of its own time. We then find another important concept. The mausoleum of Halicarnassus was under Mars. What is the great mausoleum or the great architectural monument today that parallels it? Possibly we could select the Washington Monument, which probably represents the most ambitious work of its kind of the modern world. Two monuments to soldiers, two monuments to the remembrance of persons who brought forth order out of chaos, created new nations, and brought states together in an important federation to be ruled over with wisdom and prudence. The next thought that we have is that nothing resembling the gardens of Semiramis remains. Yet this mysterious queen of Babylonia, whose symbolism, of course, was related to the planet Venus, suggests to us the greatest monument to heroic womanhood in the world today, the Taj Mahal at Agra. The mystery of love in stone and marble, as it was created in India, in honor of a great queen, in honor of a wonderful woman, in honor of a remarkable career and dedication, and is said to be Asia's great contribution to the concept of world womanhood, appropriately under the symbolism of Venus. Now, for Mercury, we can also have something that travels and moves and does all kinds of strange and wonderful things.